has, we estimate, probably 70,000 miles on it. Engine swap was done a number of years ago by a previous owner, and he said that he got it. It was one of the mana-free engines that was done, brought over from Japan, that had about 40 or 45,000 miles on it. So between his usage and us driving it, we figure it's probably around 70,000 miles on the engine. As I walk around, I'm going to be very critical in showing you everything that I see. I want to make sure there's full disclosure so people aren't disappointed when they get the vehicle. It is a very solid truck, very nice truck, but like I said, I want to show everything that I see. So let's start on the side of the trunk. The process is a pre-paint. It's a pretty decent job. It's not a job. It's definitely not a makeup paint job. There's a few spots on it. Overspray on the rubber. Another thing I see here is the trim here is coming out a little bit. That probably could be pushed back in. Also on the exterior of the truck, you do see in the chrome, and this is once again something you have to look pretty close to see, but there is minor pitting in some of the chrome along the door handles and the back of the truck. You have a small scratch down here. It is scratched through the paint. That's not something that will buff out really easy. That is a little scratch. Continuing around to the back of the truck. I don't know if you can see it from the camera or not. I look at this and I do see a little bit of orange peel. When they sprayed the back, whoever did it didn't do a real great job on it. Also, if you look in the back, one of the things I noticed is the hose that goes for the back window washer has been disconnected. It looks like it's broken. It may be able to be hooked up, but I think you'd need a new hose for that. So that's one thing I see there. If we continue around the exterior of the truck, we do see some minor markings, scrape marks here on the bumper caps, and that's pretty much on all four corners. Nothing major, but something that I do see. Right here by the gas cap, there's a little bit of paint that wasn't done properly there too, it looks like. Once again, around the back windows, a little bit of overspray on some of the rubber trim. Same thing around these windows here as well. I did notice that some of the door seals have some overspray, so maybe they didn't either mask them or close them properly when they shot the truck. Here's an example of that right here. If you look at the trim, the seal right in between there, that has overspray on it too. As far as the windshield, we do have one little spot, rock chip right there. There's some pitting in the windshield too, just over time, you know, you do get some pitting in there. Then along the bottom, I'm not sure what this is, but it's under the wiper. It looks like maybe something in the glass is just not quite right there. I'm not sure what that is. Other than that, on the front bumper, looks like at some point this bumper was removed, and you see some scarring right around where the bolts are. I can tell by looking at these are not original bolts, and it looks like maybe they took a grinder to get that off. Same thing on this other side. A little spot right here on the headlight assembly. Looks like it's just some of the paint that's rubbed off a little bit there. One thing I see up here is you notice that there's a cover right there. On the other side, the cover is missing on the windshield wiper. It does not affect the functionality of the windshield wipers, but it is, once again, something I noticed. Trim piece here, it looks like maybe somebody, when they were crimping it back on, didn't do a great job of it. Scarring from maybe some pliers or something like that. But the only other thing that I noticed on the outside would be the tailpipe. Well, first of all, somebody's painted it, and usually I don't like to paint the tailpipes, especially black if you're going to paint them. But I do see a couple holes right here. Muffler is fine. I didn't see anything on the muffler, but we do have a couple holes right there in the tailpipe. I imagine you could probably cut it off and put a new piece on, and it would be fine. That's about it. I mean, the tires are in good shape. It runs good. Everything else seems to be, I mean, it's a pretty solid truck, like I said. If we go to the interior, one of the things that I always like to look at, it's actually one of the first things I look at when I buy a Land Cruiser, is the seat wear along here. As you can see on this one, there's really not any cracking. Some of them you'll see with foam coming out and everything. We don't see that on this one. There is, however, some pulls in the fabric here. And then right along the seam, there's some wear that you'll see as well. The carpet all throughout is pretty good. You do see some stains and some pulls right around the shift boot there. It looks right up here too. I think he had something mounted. There's two holes right there, and then there's two holes right here. These ones you can't really see too much, but I'll bet that he probably had, somebody probably had a fire extinguisher mounted there. Let's go into the back seats. The back seats are pretty good. You know, a little bit of staining there. I think if with a good scrub and some Scotch Guard on there, that would probably come up, but that's not something that we've done on this one. If you come to the back, you see on the tailgate, the carpet piece here, right on the trim, there's a few spots where the vinyl is cracking and pulling away there. But the piece itself, I mean, it's put in there properly and it looks pretty decent. There's some staining back in here, over here, and if you look up there on the seat as well, the back of the seat, there's some staining. Overall, it's in pretty good shape. There are a couple pulls right over here. There's one right there that could be clipped off. Another small one right there. I think with a little bit of trimming that would be fine. Here's another spot too where it is pulling away the seam. You probably could just glue that back in and that would be okay. Other than that, on the interior you do see some spots where on the wheel well covers here they've probably put items in the back and not been too careful, so there's some little dents in there, and same thing on the other side. The jack and tool kit is right in this compartment and they are complete. Come to the other side. There's a little bit of wear down here, probably just from getting in and out. You know, that's what you expect in a vehicle like this, and it wasn't, the inside was not painted. We do see some wear on this seat on this side. I imagine that could be from sun damage, but you know, that's pulling away a little bit. The other thing that I see is on both sides, there's a trim piece that should be right here. A piece that fits down here and comes up in here. It's missing on both sides. And then if we look at the back of the passenger seat, there's a spot right here where it looks like maybe a burn, or maybe someone was shoving something up here and they caught the seat, and you do see some of the foam coming through there. That's something that probably needs to be sealed and, so it doesn't get bigger. We go to the front passenger side. Everything's pretty clean. You do notice here the holster on this side is cracked. The driver's side is also cracked. It's not terrible, but it is cracked. Seat belts work. Other than that, You know, I do see some glue up here. We took most of it off, but there is a spot where they had something stuck up there. And then right on the steering column, he was doing, I believe the previous owner was doing one of those best mods under $50 where you put a piece of fabric here so your keys, when they hit, they don't make noise. Sort of a silly thing to do, but we pulled that off and tried to clean it up the best we could. Looks like he may have had a GPS or something mounted up there. I didn't want to wreck the dash, so we decided to leave that in. Other than that, look at the headliner. There is a little bit of staining, probably items that were pushed up there as well, but it is all intact and in pretty good shape. Probably could use a little bit of a cleaning. I also see, these are minor things, but you know, there's a little cut right there. And then on the driver's side, and we can show it to you, but it looks like from someone putting their arm out, probably cracked it a little bit. We'll pop the hood too while we're at it. This is the cracking I was talking about here on the driver's side. It's right about where someone would be hanging their arm out there, and probably just over time. Compartment, we haven't tried to detail this out or anything. It always makes me a little bit wary when I see an engine compartment that's too clean, so I usually don't do anything extra in here. We did put new plugs, new wires, new cap and rotor and oil change. Also, this radiator, I can tell by looking at it that it is not the original radiator. And then when they do the engine swap, they're just switching out the block. So as far as the water pump, alternator, carburetor, anything else attached to the engine, it's usually the original. In this case, I don't know if they've changed any of these things out or not over time. We have not done anything other than a tune-up. The belts seem to be in good order, the tension's good, they don't look cracked or worn. Everything seems to be the way it should be. No problems with the power steering. You know, that's a common problem with the old cruisers, that the reservoir starts to leak, but no problems on this one. Everything seems to be pretty much where it's supposed to be. So. Undercarriage. We can take a look at the undercarriage. You want to shoot some underneath there, Ty? Get back behind the front tires and shoot a little bit too. This one does have, we think it's Ironman suspension on here with the anti-inversion shackles. So you have about a, I don't know, it's probably about a 2-inch or so lift, 2.5-inch lift. And then it does have a little bit bigger tires than stock. I believe these are 31s. They're BFG all-terrains. It does have the stock wheels. Everything, we've tried to keep it pretty stock. It does not have the mud flaps on it. It seems like when you have a little bit of a lift and bigger tires, sometimes the mud flaps look a little bit weird. We did not take them off. They were taken off before we got the vehicle. Has a full-size spare up underneath the tailgate here. And it seems to be in decent condition and holding air. And one of the other things that guys really like to look for in these older cruisers is the drip rail, to see if there's any rust along there. So Ty will get up there and shoot both sides of the drip rail. Usually what you do see up there is you do see the weld points, the weld spots. So it's not going to be a perfectly smooth drip rail. And if you do see ones with a perfectly smooth drip rail, that means that they probably are full of Bondo. Anything else we need to go over?
I think that's it.
Okay. Okay, we're going to start it up so you can hear what it sounds like. I do have the air on, so I'll turn that off right after we get it started here. What I found with this truck that's different than my other 60 is this one you don't have to choke it quite as much. On my other one I'll full choke when it's cold in the morning and about 7 pumps of the gas pedal. That'll fire right up. This one I do about half choke and about 3 pumps is usually what it works for this one. So I'll turn you can hear the fan, it works. AC works properly. We have it on recirc right now. Heater works great too, so no problems there. Everything else seems to work the way it should, with the exception of the horn. And when we looked in the engine compartment, the clips are still there, but the actual horns have been removed. I know a number of years back, the popular thing to do is put truck horns on these things, so we're thinking maybe he did that, or maybe he started to do it and didn't finish it. I'm going to turn that off. Okay. You can hear the engine here. Here we go. I'm just going to go slow out of here while we're on the dirt. I don't want to kick up too much dust. Up to speed here. Going 50 miles an hour in a residential neighborhood. 3rd gear right now.
Dang, look at that.
Here I come
Look
in
at that
next to
Land
Ty's
Cruiser.
Beast
Oh,
and Mom's FJ.
dang.